Let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I want to talk about some things that are on my mind. There's something on my mind. Can somebody please tell me what's wrong? There's been a lot of shit going on in the world, as usual. A lot of lies, a lot of fake conspiracies. Now, I do believe that some conspiracy theories, depending on what they are, I believe that they're true, some things. Um, But there are a lot of lies and misinformation and fear mongering that's going on in social media. See, back in the day, social media was the Inquirer, but now we have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, which has turned into another tool to promote misinformation and fear mongering and stuff like that. Like I was talking to you about the guy who was and I think he has a lot of followers on Facebook, but that doesn't mean anything. A billion people can be wrong about something. A billion people can be wrong. He was talking about fake biblical prophecies and stuff like that. And I ran across a video here on YouTube that this guy posted on his channel. Another guy, not the guy doing the biblical prophecies on his Facebook. No, this is another guy who is also a Christian. He posted a video, a very misleading video. I'm going to say it's misleading on his platform of a young woman. She was black. I'm only mentioning her race to give you context. Who claimed she had some type of spiritual experience that left her kind of disturbed. And the problem, let me turn on my morning meditation music. The problem that I have with her vision or whatever she saw and the individual that posted that is the fact that there's not enough context of what led to her having that prolific vision, right? And this is no disrespect at all, no disrespect at all. However, there's some things that are being left out for my taste. Number one, why did she have that vision? How did she have that vision? Did she have a near death experience? Was she tripping off of drugs? Because I'm beginning to believe, and I'm going to say allegedly because I don't want to put anything on anybody, but I'm wondering, was this some type of trip that she had off of some type of drug? Because it was never indicated that this was a near death experience. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I would be willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. Of course, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and my apologies ahead of time. But there was not enough context into what was causing her to have this experience, because normally you hear about these prolific near death experiences from people who had, I'm sorry, you normally hear about these types of experiences, these types of prolific spiritual experiences, when people have near death experiences, or when they overdose on drugs, or when they're tripping off of some type of drug. I have seen people have these type of experiences, especially when they're tripping off of PCP or coming down off of PCP. So, and I'm not saying that this young lady was. Let me be clear about that. I don't know because there was not enough context. All you see is her on the floor trying to describe this spiritual experience that she had that was prolific and also very disturbing to her. She described seeing God, and she was in one place that was pleasant, to make a long story short. Then she went into another place that God showed her that was complete darkness, and the darkness choked her. And God showed her that if she didn't change, that this is where she would end up. And and there's so many people in the world who are going to end up like that, and people don't believe in him, and all of this other Christian jargon stuff. You know what I mean? All of the stuff that goes along with all this with the fear mongering of Christianity. Okay. Now, I've known people personally who have had or who have been near death. I'm talking about people that I know that I can call on the phone right now. And they told me when they were near death, they saw nothing. It was like a peaceful blackness. And that was it. They felt nothing. It was peace. I can't say that they didn't feel anything. They felt peace. And if you can feel peace, then that means there's something there. And that something is something that our human minds cannot conceive because we're having a human experience. See, people think that darkness means nothingness, and that's not necessarily true, depending on who you are and what you're doing with your time in the physical world. Here is my whole thing with it. When these people come back from these near death experiences claiming that they have a message from God, especially when it's under the context of Christianity, I have a serious problem with that. There are people who claim that they've died and gone to hell. They've had those near death experiences as well. Some things are just unexplainable. They're just unexplainable. And I think it's reckless and I think it's irresponsible for you to be to regain consciousness and then start telling people this is what's going to happen to you if you don't change your ways. Here is my problem with that. Number one, let me stick with this young lady who had this experience. And again, this is no disrespect, but what people have to understand, because what she said was is that God told her to come back and give a message to the world. That wasn't no God telling you that. That was your ego. That's how deep this programming is within the subconscious mind. It reverberates across the dimensions. That is how deep we are programmed. Or not we, but how deep people are programmed by religion and fear. First of all, the message was not for the world. Because the video, the title of the video, she came back with a warning. That is not a warning for us, my dear. That was a warning for you. Let me say that again. That so-called prolific spiritual experience that this young woman had, that is not a warning for the world. That's a warning for you and the worlds that exist inside you. So I wish people would stop coming back from these experiences talking about God has a warning for the world. No, 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 no. That was an individual. When you have those experiences, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, those are individual experiences for you. Because there have been people who've come back who said the total opposite. There have been people who've had pleasant near death experiences or whatever you want to call them, and they've come back and they've said something totally different. So that would logically mean that the message is different for everyone depending on the person. So you can't come back and say, "Oh, God got a warning for the world," because when Letty Sue or Susie Bell had the experience, God came back and said, for them, God came, when they came back, God told them to just love everybody and be happy, and there's nothing to worry about. And I'm making up people and names, but there are people who've had positive near death experiences, and there are people that have negative ones. So, what does that mean exactly? That simply means that it's based upon frequency and vibration. And it depends upon what vibration and frequency that you're on. And if you're primarily on a fear based frequency, unfortunately, a lot of Black people are. Why is it every time? What is this? What the fuck is this? Unfortunately, a lot of Black people are on a low vibrating, um, a fear-based frequency. That it is what it is. You can get mad, you can foam at the mouth, but it's just the truth. So no, that message was not for the world. Your interpretation of it and whatever you experienced in that realm, whatever God you experienced, that's what you have created within the unconscious and the subconscious realm. That's what you have created because that's what's been instilled inside of you. And it creates other realities. So that entity that told you or gave you that prolific warning, that was for you because that was your experience. That's not for me or the world. That's for you. Because I've had prolific experiences spiritually too. But I don't feel that I need to get on here and tell people that because I feel like that is an intimate, because truthfully, you're not supposed to get on here and reveal stuff like that for that very reason, because people put out information based upon interpretation. And your interpretation can trigger, it can cause emotional pain. It can cause psychological pain because people may not understand it like I do or others do. And they will ride off of that fear frequency because everything about what she said, how do you have an experience going to heaven? And then the entity that she experienced in this experience, who called itself God, showed her in heaven, showed her heaven with angels dancing and all this other stuff, then took her to hell and told her, if you don't change your life, that this is so. Okay, so if that's what happened, if that entity said, if you don't change your life, this is what's going to happen to you. If that entity told you that, that is a message for that individual person. That has nothing to do with the world. If we're going to play that game and say that that was really God, I don't think that that was God that she had an experience with, because from what I understand about God, the real God, it is even harder for people to experience being in the God force's presence, even when you're not in the body. Sylvia Brown, even though people call her a fake and all that, but Sylvia Brown wrote books about that. It's called Behind the Veil. Not the book, but the experience. When you go behind the veil, because the real God force resides in a, how can I put it? In a dimension that is unknown. And it's too beautiful to behold, using the words from the book from what I read. You know what I'm saying? So, was that really God? Was that really the entity of, was that God? Or was that some type of trickster spirit or entity that is designed to promote fear? What she probably really experienced was an archon. An archon is a trickster spirit. It's an ancient type of angel. And I'm being layman. It's an ancient type of angel that enslaves humanity with religion and fear. It's like a negative type of entity. I'm not even going to call it an angel. Take that back. It's a negative entity that has been around for millions of years. And their primary goal is to confuse, instill fear, and chaos into humanity. So, a lot of people who have certain types of experiences, you're coming in contact with archons. That is what you're coming in contact with. You're not coming in contact with God. God is not going to send you back to the world to give people a message of fear. That is archonic. Those are archonic entities that are doing that. Because I've been attacked by them as well at times. But see, now that I see who they really are, and I have to tell you, a lot of our black celebrities that we love so much, they come from that archonic line. That is why they are, some of them are so inhumane and so inhuman. Bill Cosby comes to mind, and I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that one. He comes to mind. Oh yeah, they can be wealthy and prestigious and all of those things, but there's an inhumanity about them, and a lot of and I have to say this: a lot of black people, you're losing your humanity in the context of always wanting to be right about something. And I'm mainly talking about black men, black women too, but I'm thinking about black men. You're losing your humanity. And one thing that these archonic beings do, they entice humanity with so called knowledge. But like I told you before, you can have the rocket, but see, the archons, they have the rocket, but they don't have the fuel. And the fuel is the light of the spirit or the soul. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make this quick video and say this. Um, that individual and all of these individuals who have these prolific spiritual experiences, you cannot um, make it a cosmic or a universal thing all the time. Those experiences are individual to you. Those warnings and messages are for you, that you may be on the wrong path. If we're going to go down that particular pathway or road and say that you got an actual message from God. I think the more positive ones, you may be coming in contact with more positive, higher frequency beings, but you're not coming in contact with the Almighty God, the divine mother of the universe, because that entity is in a whole nother dimension in and of itself. And most people can't even tap into that, not even in the spirit, because it's like a trillion, quadrillion suns put together. You would not be able to take it. You're coming in contact with lower level entities that are sending you back, or you're coming back delivering a message of fear and hopelessness. That's number one. Number two, if you believe you're having a legitimate experience and you're talking to God, then that message is for you. That message is not for the rest of us. That message is for you, that your life needs some readjustments. That's not for the world. The spirit will deal with people on an individual basis. So I wish people would stop coming back from these experiences promoting negativity. Because when you say that the entity told you you need to warn other people, when that entity told her, well, I'm assuming that the entity told her you need to warn other people, that is a sign right there that that's an entity. That's a low level negative entity. It doesn't matter how beautiful the realm is, physically appealing or aesthetically to you. You could still be in a lower level realm. And it could be, how can I put it? It could be a camouflage. It could be a camouflage. It may not even be a higher frequency realm because, these entities, they understand that people are visual. You know what I'm saying? So that lets me know. And then also, we have to understand too, there is polarity in the universe. As above, so below. What goes up must come down. What goes left must come right. That's the law of the universe. So, as it is in heaven, it shall be on earth. So, what that means is there's polarity in everything. There's negativity and there's positivity. There's negativity in the world, there's positivity in the world. There's negativity in the universe, there's positivity in the universe. There are negative entities in the universe, there are positive entities in the universe. And we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of that. So, all of your experiences that you have when you have these so called prolific spiritual experiences, they may not always be the voice of God that's guiding you. It may not always be the voice of God. That could be a lower level entity. And no, I'm not. And please do not put Satan in this. We're not talking about Satan. Satan is actually a higher level frequency. I know people don't like hearing that. I know that rubs people the wrong way, but I don't give a fuck because if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be over here no motherfucking way. Satan is actually a higher level entity, a higher level being. But that's been, we ain't supposed to say that. That's hidden, that's forbidden. We're not supposed to talk about that. No, I'm talking about lower level entities, like the religion that you all follow, like the God of that Bible. That's a lower level entity. That God of that Bible is an archon that was created by mistake. So that entity told that young woman, go and warn the world. The experience that she had, where she said she went in, that this entity took her into darkness, where it felt like it was just so dark and so black, and it felt like it was choking her. What that entity was really doing was taking her back through the birth canal when you come into life. He was taking her back through that, the darkness that you experience before you come into the world. That is what he was using that as as a fear tactic, that entity that she had that experience with, taking her into darkness because the womb is darkness, but it's a peaceful darkness. But because this person is on a lower frequency with her thinking, that entity was able to use that against her. He was taking her back through the womb. And she interpreted that as being in hell. That is what she interpreted it as. I listened to what she said, and I said, oh, she was going back through the experience of coming back into the world. And I guess she woke up after that. Then she was saying that she saw this type of darkness around different people and stuff like that. Yeah, because a lot of people are possessed by archonic frequencies. They're in our families. Hell, we may even have some archonic frequencies in us. But the thing is that we're supposed to rise above that because archonic frequencies are lower frequencies because it promotes fear, it promotes confusion, isolation, and enslavement. And I really believe that those are aspects of our minds. Even the archonic entities, those are aspects of our powerful minds. But when you're only trapped in a lower frequency, then that's what happens. So her whole experience was her higher self trying to get her attention. Her higher self was trying to get her attention. And sometimes the higher self, and I'm speaking in layman terms so people can understand what I'm saying, sometimes the higher self may have to go to extreme measures to get you to pay attention to it and not your lower self. See, she's trapped in her lower self, in her lower frequency. She's trapped in the lower parts of her subconscious when you're really supposed to elevate to the unconscious. That's where the higher self is, in the unconscious, which is the world of creativity. But see, she's trapped in a lower fear based frequency because she's been programmed by religion. So, again, her message about being a warning to the world, it's a warning to the world in this sense. I will say this. Maybe it's a warning to the world and maybe to Black people that you all are trapped in your lower frequency, in your lower self. And self medicating, smoking weed, and drinking is not going to help you. Maybe that's why Black men, because there's been some complaints that a lot of Black men are smelling like feces. Maybe because of all of the marijuana that you're smoking. Because that marijuana that they have now, it smells like feces. It smells like monkey shit. And I don't give a fuck who it offends. How can he say that? Oh, I'm mad. Good. So maybe the warning is this. You all are going to be constantly trapped in a cycle of darkness. Maybe that was the symbology of the darkness she experienced as well. That you're going to be trapped in a You're right now. You're trapped in darkness where you feel like you're being choked, like the life is being choked out of you. That's what the higher self was trying to show her in a way that she could understand it within her lower self. And maybe that's the message that she needed to bring back to the world. Hey, listen, but she just wasn't able to interpret it the correct way because she's under the doctrine and the cult of Christianity. But hey, listen, we are trapped in non-productive, low frequency darkness that is choking the life out of us. And the higher self is trying to free us from that. But in order to free us from that, we have to go through that experience to see what that's like. See, I've been through that, so I understand what she's talking about because I've had prolific spiritual experiences, but they didn't break me, they made me. I almost died. I don't tell too many people. I almost died when I was 17 on the operating table when they were taking out my appendix. But within that frequency, I didn't feel anything but like a peaceful dark glow. So that's why I say everyone's experience is different. It's not the same for everyone. It's not the same. So it's kind of irresponsible to put out that information if you don't have a really good spiritual understanding of that. And that is what Christians do because they are designed to create fear and panic and enslavement. Fear, panic, and enslavement. FPS. Fear, panic, and enslavement. They want you to be enslaved to an archonic program called religion under the context of Christianity. And it's not just Christianity, it's also Islam. Because they have stripped and they have taken away the real frequencies and energies of Christianity and Islam, and they've replaced it with this enslavement. Because the real energies of Christianity and Islam are totally different than what people are practicing today. And I know that for a fact. That's not what I think, it's what I know. Anyway, I just wanted to drop that gem. This is the occult view. You can like it, you can love it, you can do what you want with it. But everybody has their own individual experience with the higher power. And I think people need to understand that. We are not all in some cult. This is not a cult. Spirituality is not a cult. Religion is a cult. So when you come back talking about this is a message for everyone, this is a warning for everyone, you really need to drive that back and maybe understand or figure out that hey, listen, maybe this is not about everybody else. Maybe this is about me. Again, this is like the Jim Jones effect. He was going crazy. He was getting ready to die, and he was afraid to die by himself. He wanted to take other people with him. And that's exactly what he did. Because he too was probably having those type of spiritual experiences with all of the drugs that he was on. And we also have to understand people that are on drugs, people that are doing drugs recklessly. I'm not talking about taking ayahuasca or doing mushrooms or anything like that to induce a spiritual experience, but even that should be guided and under somebody that knows what they're doing. That's even above my pay grade. So we don't know the context of what really happened to this young woman because there was not enough context. But even though there was not enough context, I was able to pull enough frequency to decode and understand what's going on. Those experiences are for you. They're not for Becky Sue. They're not for Lulu. They're not for Booly Doo. They for you. That warning was for you. That was not for the rest of the world. That was for you. Your individual spiritual experience is for you. That was a warning for you to change your life, for you to change and readjust your thinking. That has nothing to do with the rest of us. And what's interesting is not once did she say that that entity told her that you had to be a Christian. That's something that's programmed in you. That's your interpretation of it. And interpretation is not always right. Like I told you at the beginning of the video, a billion people can be wrong. Just ask the Vatican. They know everything else up in that Vatican, don't they? Anyway, that's all I have to say.